Wow, look at that. Live. Live, once again.
Nailed it this time.
Yeah. Still at the picnic bench. We've got the fish, temporary studio, but hopefully later on we'll be in our new home. What's up, guys? Fistful of Collars, episode 14, post 2018 Worlds Breakdown. And there is a lot to break down this year. I mean, where do we even start? What a crazy tournament, right?
For real, man. We're still like getting back into the groove of things, right? We all kind of just got back into the office. To me, it feels like just a dream still. You know, like I'm still trying to like process everything.
That last day you enter a kind of new state of consciousness.
Yeah. I watched so many jiu-jitsu matches. People are like coming up to me like, "Oh, did you see that match?" And I'm like, I did see that match. And
feels
something
like
happened in that match. I know that. It's hard to discern the different matches.
You can go to FloGrappling.com and watch all the matches.
Oh, I should write that down.
Yeah. But no, I know exactly what he's saying. I mean, like, it was 4 days of just non-stop incredible jiu-jitsu. And it was kind of the way it was set up. Like, some days felt like 3 days into one.
It's
right?
true, yeah.
I think Saturday was a perfect example because it started off, we had the brown belts running on every single mat, right? And then, like, right around about midday, lunchtime, we had a little break, and then they started the black belt absolute. And, like, the black belt absolute was like crazy. We're running around, and then, like, it stops, and we're all like, oh, okay, deep breath, thinking, oh, we get a little bit of a break. And then, like, immediately, every single mat has now got a black belt fighting on it, where they start the divisions. And it was like, I mean, like, by 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 9 o'clock in the morning felt like a million years ago, right?
Do you remember Roberto Jimenez? Remember that?
Yeah, that's like a big deal.
That's like 3 months ago, I feel like.
Like, barely.
What a day.
What an amazing performance, though. Yeah, absolutely. Just next level. He kind of hit some road bumps on his first year as an adult purple belt, and then, man, just came out, submitted every single person he faced.
I think the highlight of Jimenez was in the absolute. I forget the guy's name. It was a GFT guy.
Gigantic.
Huge guy.
Yeah. Like 6'9".
I think he was down like 7-0. He got swept and mounted.
Slight exaggeration.
I'm sticking to 6'9".
And then comes back and submits that guy to get it to the final.
We submitted everybody. Submitted every single opponent, weight division and absolute. That is incredible. I'm not sure that's ever been done. I mean, like, you'd have to go way back to try and find that out. But
Andre Galvao, right?
Andre Galvao,
Andre Galvao.
so he's in pretty good company.
So,
But I mean, yeah, amazing because, like you say, Roberto had some road bumps. He didn't medal at any of the major tournaments this year.
I want to say he got bronze. I want to say he got bronze at Hands.
He didn't win any of the major
Right.
tournaments,
Which for him, you know, it isn't a great year. But of course, caps it pretty nicely there with double gold, submitting every single person.
And yeah, I think maybe that camp at the Lucas Lepre gym was probably a factor there, right? Because he was there in
Johnny Tama was out.
Where is it? North or South Carolina? You guys were
North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay.
Yeah.
Remind me, Jimenez is what, 18 years old?
18 years old.
He
He
just
said
got his
two weeks
purple
ago, he turned 18 years old. So yeah, he got his purple belt when he was technically 17, and just a little while ago, right? And then 2 weeks ago turned 18, and is now double gold champion along with the likes of Felipe Pena, Keenan Cornelius, Andre Galvao. You know,
Were we voting for him for the juvenile of the year last year?
Well, not that long ago.
yeah, I think 2 years ago he was nominated because last year he was like in the transitional period, so it was kind of like hard where to place him.
And what's crazy is he wasn't even our rankings, right? Our rankings are
it's
totally
true.
messed up after this event. You know, it shows that purple belt is just insane.
Awesome,
level.
awesome that he unranked and went out there and beat the #1 ranked guy in the final.
Giving us some work to do over here. But man, he's not the only story.
I know there's so many stories.
I mean, Lucas Lepre, because we mentioned about how trained Lucas is. I just got to say, I think Lepre, like, it was a near flawless performance, right? He just got 2 points scored against him, like, and it was a bit of a bullshit 2 points as well. It was one of those takedowns, where Lucas is pulling guard, whatever. But come on, I mean, that guy, that's 3 years in a row that he gets to the final of the World Championships, and like anybody barely gets near scoring a point on him, right? It's just insane.
Just a perfect player, man. That final with Renato Canuto was probably one of my favorites of the events. You know, Renato doesn't know how to put on a boring match, and great stand-up from both guys. Sometimes stand-up in jiu-jitsu can be a little bit tedious to watch, we could say, but
no, they were going at it.
It was a cool dueling styles too, like Renato with kind of the more judo emphasis, and Lepre with more of a wrestling base, you know, and it paid off for him. So that was a crazy match.
It's so impressive that, like, I think one of the big storylines this year in the 2018 World Championships was really the changing of the guard. So many of these new young black belts did so well, you know. And it's so impressive that a guy like Lucas Lepre can kind of stave off those young guys year after year after year. I remember he fought Yang Picapao, the surging Yang Picapao last year, and he fought Edwin Najmi in the finals the year before. This time he fights Hanato Canuto in the finals. It's just like there's a new lightweight guy that comes up who's surging, you know, young black belt, and somehow Lucas Lepre just has everybody's number. It's so impressive.
It really is. And I think you mentioned there about the whole changing of the guard. Like the young black belts really impressed me across the board, you know, this week. There were a lot of first-year black belts who made it to the podium. Got to give a huge shout-out to the Norwegians, the Vikings. Tommy Langaker, silver medal at middleweight, and Espen Mathisen, bronze at lightweight. And, I mean, you guys visited their gym there in Norway, right? It was part of the Road to Worlds tour.
They were like, why are you guys going to Norway? You don't need to go to Norway.
We
said, we need to go to Norway. We need to go check these guys out. Espen Mathisen, Tommy Langaker, and it paid off, right?
I was losing my mind a little bit when Tommy submitted Marcos Tinoco, who is an amazing athlete, took second last year at Worlds.
Just had a great year.
Let's put it in perspective. Well, the Tinoco tapped out Tommy first round of the weight division at Europeans.
That's right.
Remember, because Tommy had that amazing. There you go. So much jiu-jitsu. But Tommy had that amazing absolute run, and we were like, "Oh my God, Tommy's the man!" And then he gets submitted like bang in the first round of the weight division, and we're like, "Oh."
I'm like, "Oh, there's levels to this game." But you know, Tommy.
But Marcos was on fire. I mean, Marcos got through to the finals of the Europeans, the Pans, and the Brazilian Nationals this year. He closed out Europeans. He lost to Gabriel Arge at the Pans, and then he won Brazilian Nationals. Marcos was on a tear, and then for Tommy to come back and submit him at Worlds was like, shit, that's pretty big.
No, I think it speaks to these guys are not just like right there, but they're submitting these guys. Espen, for example, submitted Edwin. Like they're not just someone to think about. All right, this guy has potential. They are like they're winning definitively.
That guard pass on Espen is one of the dirtiest things I've ever seen because it wasn't like relentless pressure or just going until Edwin had to stop. It was one clean movement and just past his guard. What is going on here? Then Espen only lost by an advantage to Lucas Lepre in their match, which is also insane. So
Lucas couldn't pass his guard.
Couldn't pass his guard. Got close, but he's got that insane flexibility, which we have a video on.
He does have that
want to try and move like Espen.
Espen literally showing his secrets on how to get that flexible. So if you wanna learn how to not get your guard passed by Lucas Lepre, go watch the video.
I think it's also amazing that those guys. It's just three guys out there.
Exactly,
right?
and that's
Vagard, and then
that's what I think is so inspiring. I think they're really gonna inspire a lot of people. Not even just Norwegians. That you can get to the World Championship finals by just having your core group of guys, because they're in the middle of nowhere, Norway, and it really is just
really hard to get
just three of them, and a couple blue belts maybe here and there. But
and it looks beautiful place as well.
It's
like
gorgeous,
you guys went there, and we did the amazing vlog, which I urge everybody should go check out because it's amazing. But AJ actually has just dropped in on the comments here that remember when we went to Norway. Because AJ and I went there at the end of 2015, and those guys, Tommy and Espen, were still brown belts, and like I didn't know who those guys were. Like nobody had any idea, and it's incredible that those guys went from such, like against the odds, tiny kind of place in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden they're competing on the world stage. It's just incredible.
Talk about setting goals and achieving them, man. Like that's just so impressive. So
and they're
inspiring.
still so young. It's not like they've reached the end of their career. It's just the beginning. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Same with Hanato Canuto. Same with Zakba Jens.
Same with Shane Jamil.
Taylor. There's just so
big
many
shout
young
out
guys.
to Jamil, right? Because first African American black belt IBJJF World Champion. He's the fifth American to ever make it to the gold medal at IBJJF podium, right? Got to give another shout out to Michael Musumeci for becoming the first two-time American world
So
champion.
many great storylines, so many big storylines. The winners of this year's World Championships, it was so hard to. They just cast such a big light, man. So many big storylines. Like
We
I said,
haven't even talked
Mikey,
about
Jamil,
Buchecha yet. Like,
Buchecha, Bruno Malfacini. There's so much history made this weekend. It's hard to talk about it all, even in just the podcast right
You
now.
made a great point about Jamil, right? About how last year he came so close and he lost in that semi-final against Cobrinha, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And what did he do? Like he just
Came back and
basically
won, yeah.
just didn't complain, didn't say shit. He lost on a questionable call where he could have gotten an advantage and stuff. It went to a decision if I remember correctly, and he
Referee's
lost.
decision, yeah.
Yeah. And what did he do? He just went back to the lab, like kept his head down, came back a year later, and definitively won the World Championships.
One thing I learned about Jamil this weekend is how smart he is in competition. His jiu-jitsu IQ is super high, and you can see he was even coaching some of the other Team Lord Irving guys.
Yeah, what were you saying about at the gym, like with Jamil? Everybody like uses him, right?
Yeah, I think definitely. I totally agree that Jamil's jiu-jitsu IQ, his mat IQ, seems to be really kind of through the roof. One of his strongest assets, it seems. Because yeah, definitely. Anytime people were on the mats at Team Lloyd Irvin, it had a question about like, what do I do if somebody has my lapel here, or is this legal, or does this count as an advantage, or what? And everybody would go, whoop, look over to Jamil. What does Jamil say? Because Jamil always had the answer. Jamil knew is the guy who knows the rule set. He's the guy who knows the positions the best. So it seemed like everybody, Muhammad, Tim, Lloyd, were all kind of looking to Jamil.
You can hear some of his analysis too on Spider, an event we have in our archive. He's a commentator. You can see him break down matches.
Oh man, his commentary is amazing.
It's phenomenal.
So smart, right?
If you want to get into the mind of Jamil, check that out.
How old did you say Jamil is? 23?
Yeah, 23, I believe. Mm-hmm.
And he started training at Team Lloyd Irvin at 9 years of age,
In
right?
2004, he started training at. So it's almost 15,
Completely homegrown.
14
almost
years
15
ago.
years ago. Yeah.
How about those
White
other?
to black belt in the same gym, right?
Yeah.
Let's just put it
How
on.
about those other Team Lord Irving guys? There was Mayroom, which you guys did the up and comer on, right?
Up-and-comer.
The
That
brown
kid
belt,
is
right?
sick.
And
That
purple
kid is
belt.
awesome. He was giving Mason Fowler fits in the absolute.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he's like he's a light featherweight.
Yeah.
Malachi, he had an awesome performance too. I mean, these guys
And
are
then
just
Muhammad
Ali
Ali,
to
can't forget
gold.
about Muhammad.
Hey, man,
No,
can't
for sure. I
forget
think
big man.
Team Lloyd Irvin definitely my winners of the whole tournament. I think coming out of the tournament, I think Jamil and Muhammad, the way those guys performed, I think you can't knock what Team Lloyd Irvin is doing right now.
I got a big shout out to Muhammad as well because not that many people maybe know this, but he's got like a 6-month-old daughter. And the last year for him, he got really like injured, like non-stop in 2017, and then all of a sudden he's dealing with he's a brand new father, and then like for the last couple of months, like preparing for Worlds, they had received a lot of Brazilians came over and were doing the camp at Team Lloyd Irvin, and he's running around taking care of those guys, and he actually said that he trained less for this Worlds than he's ever done in his life. But that whole mentality of sometimes less is more and training smart, and then goes out there and has the performance of a lifetime, beats Leandro Lowe, beats Merigati 5-0. It's just...
Well, and Lou did a little interview afterwards with him after he won, and he said last year he got hurt and didn't come back. This year, he said he still got hurt, and he was on the fence and he decided to come back. It's just like, just goes to show, man. Like you never know what can happen. You never know.
His ankle is jacked. His
Oh yeah,
foot is crazy.
that was Felipe Andrew, right? The Zenith guy who's got that savage like footlock. I mean, he finished the final of Brazilian Nationals with that, right?
Yep.
And wow, I mean, Muhammad's foot blew up, and Muhammad spent all Saturday night, right, with his foot elevated, iced up, basically just trying to make sure that he could compete the next day.
But Jamil, just to wrap up Jamil, I mean, what I'm so impressed with about Jamil is that he really dominated. He really dominated out there. And for a kid who's, like you said, 23 years old, who's second year at black belt, there wasn't a lot of expectations really going into the tournament. And for him to go out there and beat Marcio Andre, he beat Zach Paiva, and he beat Sejorio in the finals, and I really think he dominated. Nobody, I think he had a close match with Thiago Macedo, but he ended up really pulling away at the very, very end of the match. He just looked phenomenal out there. He dominated out there. And another guy who dominated as well is Mikey Musumeci. Yeah. I talked to him briefly right after he won his World Championships. He won his World Championship, and he was saying that he really put an emphasis on going out there and finishing fights, going out there, being aggressive. He thought people were talking a little bit maybe too much, that he fought for strategy.
He said the same
he went
thing
out
to
there
me
to
just
choke
now.
people, so that's pretty badass.
Yeah, he said that he actually enjoyed the fact that he could really fight this year, you know, rather than just have to play the points games.
He looked
Pure.
dominant. I mean,
Exactly.
that final was all Mikey, which is insane, kind of.
No ref's decision there.
Yeah, it's true.
No.
I'm just looking at the comments right here, and people are interested to see how the results played out compared to our predictions. And I think we both got a couple, right?
Yeah, I think we went, what, 2 for 7 or 2 for 6?
So
or?
I just off the top of my head now, I'm having trouble remember, but I picked Felipe Pena to win heavyweight, and I was correct there. It wasn't the exact podium as predicted, because I saw Keenan going into the finals. Maybe we should talk about that in a second, right? But I picked Felipe to win heavyweight. I was right there. And Gabriel Arge, who else? Fuck, I forget now.
You took Felipe Pena and Lucas Hulk.
Yes, that's right. Lucas Barbosa, I picked him to close out, or to win medium heavy, and I was right there as well. And you got Jamil, right?
I picked Jamil,
Wow.
who's picking Jamil? Come on. And then Isaac, which is, I think, another kind of left field pick.
He fucking went out there though, huh? Isaac put it out there, man.
Isaac
I think Zach's going to be on top of that division for a long time.
Yeah, I agree.
He's so hard to deal with. Man.
Yeah.
He's such a great competitor.
He comes at you. He does not care who you are. He's coming at you super hard.
Yeah.
You can't score on him.
You
It's
can't score,
so
man.
hard to put a point against.
Yeah, it is.
Timothy.
So, about the results, and just that little thing we mentioned there about how, you know, the Keenan thing, he didn't get through to the final. As
I
many
had
of us
Keenan
were
win, and
expecting.
I had Keenan.
You picked
I
Keenan to
predicted
win.
him to win, yeah.
So, there was a little bit of a spanner thrown in the works there, right? And, you know, there's been quite a lot of talk about it the last couple of days, I think, right?
Certainly.
So, what do we think about that? Because everybody's asking our opinion, and they're also saying as if we have some kind of, you know...
Like we have some say in it.
Yeah, I'm definitely disappointed that we're bringing this up right now. You know, I think that there's, like we said, there's so many great things that happen at the World Championship. Bruno Malfacini, we should talk about him. You know, I think we should talk about, we talked a little bit about Jamil and everybody. Buchecha was 11-time world champion, broke records. You know, a lot of history was made at the World Championships, a lot of winners.
Because they were always, whatever sport, but especially in the Jiu-Jitsu World Championships, there will always be controversial decisions. There will always be that somebody didn't like. At every belt level, it's not just the black belt world finals, right? You see it at blue, purple, brown, and black. You see team coaches losing their minds with the referees because of a call that they didn't like, or a subjective analysis in the match that should have been an advantage and it wasn't. And it just so happens that played out in a black belt semi-final this year, and everybody's focusing on that one moment. But it's nothing unusual, right? And it can go either way, because I remember last year, Patrick Gaudio, he was on the opposite end of that, right? Galvão won a decision against Patrick Gaudio in a very similar thing, you know, and you could argue, right? Okay, well, you know.
And then I think it comes down to, Keenan said this in one of his posts about opinion, right? It comes down to the ref's opinion. It's in the rules, and that's where there's this little gray area. However, you know that going into the match, right? You sign up for IBJJF events, you're going to experience that at some point, an opinion. So if it comes down to that, it's like, man, this is what you signed up for, this is what you're getting into.
Not taking anything away from Keenan, right? We know how technical he is, we know what a great competitor he is, right? He won, Europeans, and he won Pans, right? But you're in the World Championship, like semi-finals, everything on the line, you leave it in the hands of the judges, then you got to be prepared, it could go against you.
Sometimes
There's no great conspiracy.
It's the way it goes.
Yeah, losing sucks for sure. Losing is tough, and especially when you work your whole life to win, you work your whole life to get to that position. You know, it definitely, I understand that it is a rough position to be in when you feel like you did everything to win, and you feel like somebody else took the win away from you. You know, that is a hard thing to swallow. I certainly understand that.
I mean, my heart goes out to the kid. He's been working like non-stop towards this, right? He's been chasing after that World Championship gold medal for years, right? To come so close and to feel that you've been like wronged and there's been some great injustice, it fucking sucks, right? But there is no great conspiracy at work. It's not like some, anti-American judging bias, right? He's got one of the most influential figures in the entire sport sat there, just a couple of feet away from him at mat side, right next to all the referees and stuff. If anybody could help sway things in your favor, it would be Andre Galvão, but it's not the case, right? The judges will see what they want to see. So.
Right.
Keenan's exit did open up the opportunity, though, for Felipe Pena to make his way into the final, where no easy match by any means, but got him his first world title.
And I want to give a big shout out to Felipe here because, right, Romulo posted that amazing photo of Felipe backstage, and he's just like destroyed, right? He's like lying on his back. He's got 2 injured knees. Both of his feet are strapped up like boots because. Was it Adam Wodzinski?
Yeah.
And Felipe
Right.
Andrew.
And Felipe
Yeah,
Andrew
yeah.
were both like hanging off his ankles, like in both matches, some nasty footlocks. I need to fight through that. Felipe Pena showed for me why he's one of the pound for pound best in the sport. Because it's not just that performance, right? It's been an entire
Yeah, he's
season.
had a great year, right?
Right?
Phenomenal year.
He's an ACB, gi no gi champion, World Pro champion. He was a champion at Marianas Open, and then finally gets his first official world title. That is
He
huge.
won World Pro last year too, right? He won Marianas Open
No,
last
he's
year.
actually won World Pro like either 3 or I think it's 4 years in a row.
4 years running,
Yeah.
beat Adam Wodzinski at World Pro this year.
This year in the final,
And then he
yeah.
also won Marianas a few weeks ago as well.
Yeah.
So he's been nonstop competitor and winning everything, but definitely not without hurdles, And he showed, like Hal was saying.
What
how
about
hard
what
to
about
champion.
what about fit? Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say not to take anything away from Felipe Pena, but
I was
there
gonna
was
say-
one
I was
match.
gonna say this too.
There was one match
God.
that was shocking.
Yeah, I was going to say that, man. Felipe Pena, obviously the best, and he definitely is one of those guys who deserves to be talked about in the same realm with Buchecha, in the same realm with all the all-time greats, Adolfo and everything like
I
that.
almost feel sometimes that Felipe doesn't get the amount of attention that he deserves because he's quite a. He doesn't put himself out there that much. He lets the results do the talking, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the other guys who are really good at playing the social media game, they're obviously, they're going to be the ones getting interaction with the fans and stuff. I think everybody respects Felipe for who he is as an athlete, but nobody really
He needs AJ to help him out.
Yeah.
He needs
Yeah,
AJ
right.
to get in there.
Anybody
Paulo's
you can
pretty
learn
savvy.
from.
He's
Yeah,
got
that's
the
true.
everyday Pohada thing going on. So,
Shout out to Romulo as well, man. Thanks for the t-shirt, by the way.
and coaching all weekend long. That guy's out there every day. So,
But I do want to ask what everybody's favorite matches was. And I'm just going to jump in real quick with my favorite match. Do it.
are you claiming it?
Yeah, I'm claiming this one right off the bat. But I was just going to say that I was no more hyped up for Felipe Pena versus Nicholas Marigali. That was the match that I was most hyped up for, I think, because going out to that match, you could see Felipe Pena was ready to shut this dude down, and Marigali he was getting in the mode, how he does, and I love when Nicholas Marigali is on. So seeing those guys stand on the mat, I was like, oh my God, I am ready for this one. And then to see how it played out, incredible match. That was a good one.
It was. Favorite match?
Man, I guess you're gonna let me have this one easy. This guy Buchecha Marigali. That was, not to be on the Marigali hype train, but that's one of the matches of the weekend. It also plays directly into the storyline of Buchecha and Leandro Lowe being best friends, ultimate bromance.
Because at the end, you ended up pointing at Leandro,
Exactly.
right?
So at the end of the
That
match,
was for you, man.
Yeah, and we didn't quite know what that meant at the time. We weren't sure if he was calling Leandro out or we
Hell
know they're
no.
friends, but he's just saying he
Leandro
defeated
was on
your
the
foe.
sidelines, that huge
And
grin.
I will say that I don't think Marigali looked the same after he fought Buchecha.
Took a little bit of the wind out of his sails, maybe.
Definitely took
Yeah.
it.
For sure.
Buchecha
But that was
had
my
that
match of
effect
the
on him.
weekend. And Marigali almost had him. There's a key scramble there where he had his leg on his shoulder going up for an X-guard sweep, and Buchecha just does that thing where he's able to beast out of it, kind of scramble, lands on top, gets the points, and
Started going
too
the knee
much.
on the throat
yeah,
and everything.
yeah.
That was
Buchecha's something else, man. But,
was wild.
I think Marigali is going to be one of the all-time greats. He's got such a long time to really make a mark on the sport.
He's still so young.
The other
He's
thing
so
about
good.
Marigali too, I think when he experiences somebody, he never went against Buchecha. He never went against Ali before. Now he's kind of got the info. He
Right.
knows what to expect. I think next year he's going to come back and he's going to do his thing. He's going to go into the lab, not hide.
I hope not. I hope he's busier next year. I want to see him
Yeah.
compete more.
Yeah.
100%.
I
Favorite
think-
match?
Favorite match. I got to go with my boy Lucas Hulk. Lucas Hulk with the comeback on the
Batista.
Oh, that is a
I think
phenomenal
that was
match.
the
Yeah.
comeback of the event.
Yeah.
That
He
might
was-
actually be the best match of the event.
We had,
It's
we had a great angle from where we were. Hulk's face was purple, man. That choke was deep. And I even talked to him about it. He's like, yeah, it was really tight,
He
man.
almost took his head off with that
He popped
freaking
his
choke,
head
man.
off. And somehow, man, he gets out of there and then comes back, takes Denise's back, and chokes him.
Yeah.
It was just...
That was a crazy
incredible,
match.
It really was. I mean, that was world class stuff right there. I was just, like you say, I can't believe it. There was that moment where they rolled to us, and like Hulk's like veins are bulging in his head, looking directly at us, and we're just like, oh shit.
Man, those are the moments at Worlds. You know, if any of you guys haven't been to the Worlds before and you get the opportunity to go, when the crowd just erupts, man, there's that sound,
and the team chants and everything. Yeah, it's a different atmosphere.
You know, my favorite match of the weekend wasn't even one of the black belt matches. It was the purple belt lightweight final. Jonathan Alves of AOJ up against this unknown, brand new kid, Samuel Nagai. Okay, so we're like, who the hell is this Nagai kid? He just turns up from nowhere and slays everybody en route to the final. I mean, like, he's tapping out guys with like reverse triangles, chokes, everything. He's the killer. Like, nobody knows who this kid is, right? Total unknown. Jonathan Alves, we know who he is very well, right? We've been following him since he was a blue belt. And, you know, slow and steady, just tapping everybody out, gets through to the finals as well. It's kind of like, man, okay, this is interesting. You know, underdog or unknown quantity up against the favorite for the decision. And they went out there, and holy crap, what a crazy back and forth match. Like, man, like Jonathan Alves, it looked like he was going to break his foot off with a really nasty footlock. And then, like, that guy gets out, and he gets him in an arm bar, and it's like the arm was going to snap, and then he gets out, and he went to points, and it was just, wow, it was incredible. Nagai took it, and there was that moment when he runs off the mat, and his brother is there, and they're just like, both of them are bawling their eyes out, and it was like such a moment.
Even before the match, right?
That's right.
Like, it was so emotional, just like you could feel it over there. It was like he was before the match was even going. Him and his brother were talking. He was already in tears. And it was like, I was like, that doesn't seem like a good sign, right before the match, you know?
You can't forget to leave out, he beat Jonathan 11-4, and up until then, I think Alves had finished every single
we've
opponent.
never seen Jonathan Alves like in a bad position.
He's the next big thing, for sure, 100%. And this kid came out of nowhere and just kind of tooled him up a little bit. That was extremely surprising.
And I had a chat with Jackson, who was Samuel's brother, and Jackson's a brown belt, and he actually had a pretty good run following day as well. He was a bit of a finisher as well. Got stopped in points before he got to the podium, but I was chatting to Jackson afterwards, and I was like, man, where are you guys from? Like, so it turns out their mother is Brazilian and their father is Japanese. They were born in Brazil. They lived for like 10 years in Japan. They used to train with like guys there, like Satoshi and all those guys. Then they moved back to Brazil. They lived in Manaus for 3 years, and we know that Manaus is like a real strong hotbed of jiu-jitsu.
Shanjin Salo.
Tons of really big names come from there. And then about a year ago, they moved to California, and Lucas Leite, Checkmat, was there, sat next to me, and he's like, they just turned up at my gym. Like, you know, because they were actually representing Carlos Hollander officially at Worlds. But they are like gonna go as Checkmat from here. Like, the official move has just been announced, and they are now Checkmat. And I mean, you know, they went from 0 to 100 over 1 weekend, right? Those kids, we got to keep an eye on those.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the funnest parts about the World Championships, right? Is that, you know, the World Championships has come and gone now, but we saw so many, like, guys like Roberto, guys like Tynan Dalpra, Mateus Rodriguez, all these guys who won their divisions, you know, won the World Championships, and then got promoted, right? There's so many guys after the World Championships. One of the best parts is seeing, okay, now who's a brown belt? Now who's a black belt? Now, you know, who's gonna jump into this division next year? Who's gonna challenge Lucas Lepri maybe next year? You know, and so many guys got promoted. It's one of the funnest parts. I know one of the guys I'm most looking forward to is Kennedy Maciel.
Oh yeah,
little Cabrinha. Yep. He got his black belt after winning brown belt, light feather.
Him and Cabrinha competing together,
closing out
division.
Worlds or something.
Cabrinha said that he wants to do that, like, because everybody was wondering if Cabrinha would compete this year or not, right? So obviously he didn't. But I was chatting to Kennedy, and you know, he got his black belt, and he said that the cut for light featherweight for him is pretty tough right now. He's getting older, he's filling out a bit, right? So I can see him coming back as a featherweight. But can you imagine the two of them competing next year and then like closing out featherweight or something, father and son?
What a story! That's never happened before, right?
I think
that's never happened.
No, I think Cabrinha at that point, I think that he would try and do that and then retire. He'd be like, all right, I'm good. Right? So.
The one thing he hasn't accomplished yet.
And there's a bunch of good promotions, actually, like you say. You know, there's like a wave of guys who are going to shake things up at black belt next year. I got a kind of a short list here. Mauricio Oliveira, GFT medium heavyweight, brown belt champion, took bronze at absolute, I believe. Just got his black belt. He's going to come and shake things up next year as well.
World champion, purple belt world champion, and brown belt world champion sequential years.
3 years in a row. That's
Crazy.
incredible, right?
Yeah.
That is insane. What a talent.
He's super young too, right?
Oh yeah, 20, 21 maximum.
geez.
I think he's 20. Yeah.
That's
Kynan Duarte, brown belt absolute champion as well.
Kynan doesn't even look like he breaks a sweat when he's out there. He's just so composed, so cool, and
He's been a black belt for years, it feels like.
All right here.
Who else we got? We got Maisa Bastos, the GF team girl. She competed at light featherweight. She almost did the Grand Slam, actually. She took gold at every tournament except Worlds, where she took silver.
Gotcha.
I think the lighter weight classes at the women's divisions need a bit of a fresh blood. And we've actually got two.
Did
Because
she lose to Fionn?
No, she's a weight class down, man.
Okay.
Put me on the spot. I
Sorry.
forget who, but Fion's a weight class up.
Gotcha.
But Julie Wiggers, who won brown belt, who actually won purple belt roosterweight last year, and brown belt roosterweight this year, just got a black belt from Mario Hayes. So she's going to come back next year as well. So that means we've got two really good lightweight females kind of add into the black belt divisions next year as well.
I think one of the big storylines in the women's black belt division this year is that the old powers, if you want to call them that, the dominant forces are still very much at the top. We have Beatrice winning another world championship. Baby Vieira may as well be a seasoned black belt at this point. She's won everything. She's a world champion.
You know, she's undefeated,
Two-time.
I think. I'm pretty sure, I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure she's undefeated since, like, at least
She did
the
lose
World
in the
Championships
absolute
last
last
year.
year.
Oh, okay. She was undefeated.
To Nachielli, right?
Nachielli.
And also,
Nachielli is another world championship for her.
Two-time, yeah.
Claudia
Was that-
Doval's two-time world champion.
Was the Nachielli match, was that an advantage or a decision? It was pretty close, right?
It was close, and I do not remember the exact score. Tiny Porfirio, again, taking double gold there. So we do
2 years
need
in a row.
It would be fun to see those divisions shaken up a little bit. The one area where we did was in light feather, where Amanda Nogueira from GF Team came out and beat some old standbys.
Well, she beat two former world champions. She beat Jesuin Matuda and Talita, right, in the finals.
Talita
So,
Alpart.
yeah.
And her and Talita fought in the finals of brown belt in 2016. Is that right? And Talita
I think Toledo won.
beat her in 2016? Brown belt?
It was a GF Team. It was a GF Team athlete. Could be. But since then, Amanda Montero has gone 3-0 against Talita. Beat her at Nogi Pans, beat her at World Pro, and now at World. So Talita's got to change
black
her
belt.
game up a little bit.
Yeah.
And of course,
Well, let's just then make a point, though, to mention that Talita actually lost that match because she was dancing in the middle of the match, remember?
Yeah.
She got penalized.
That's where's the crowd. The crowd was getting after her.
The crowd, the
was
GF
insane
team,
this
they
year.
got in her head, right? They were talking a lot of shit, they chants and stuff, and she kind of like was, responding to them, dancing at them in the middle of the match, and she got a penalty. So
and also a big shout out to Karen Tunes, second major title of the year, coming back after just having
That was a great
baby
moment.
a year ago.
not even a year
Not
ago.
even a year
Yeah.
ago. So
That was a great
that's-
moment seeing her with her kid there on the podium. That was a good
Did you say
moment.
Beatrice Mosquito?
I did say
8
Pia.
times.
Eight.
She tied for the
Eight?
most.
Wow.
So her and
With,
Michelle Niccolini are the
Michelle
most
Niccolini.
winningest females in jiu-jitsu history. It's
So
incredible.
some pretty great storylines there in the women's divisions.
You mentioned something, one of my favorite things of the entire weekend was the chants.
Chance, man.
Right.
The crowd was just so into it
Right?
this year.
I think more so than I've ever seen.
You know what was
Yeah,
really
yeah, I
interesting
hadn't seen
too
that
is
before.
that they were like teaming up. So like
Yeah.
even if they weren't,
Everybody was teaming up against Atos, right?
Only
Is
one
that
way,
what-
only one direction.
Is that what was going on?
Yeah.
I don't speak Portuguese, but I could gather that much.
Okay,
That
so-
they were screaming at Atos.
Let me translate what some of those chants were, because it was funny that you had the GF team right behind us, right? You had GF team and also like the in-fight crew, and those guys they had some great songs all weekend. Actually, they were the ones with the favela chants. It was like favela, which is great. But then it was interesting as well. You mentioned this, right? Because like the teams were in exactly the same positions in the arena as they were last year.
Yeah, every
right?
year, yeah.
So you had GF team in fight and checkmat on one side, you had Atos over there, and then you had Alliance over there. And like everybody, at one point, GF team, checkmat, and Alliance were teaming up in their chants at Atos, and they were saying some shit, man. They were saying things like basically team for hire, equipe de aluguel, which basically means that they're kind of like just buying up all the talent, and anytime somebody from another team would win, they would start saying like basically, ooh, Atos wants to buy you. So I was like, ooh, man, you're taking it up a
But
level.
Atos, I feel like Atos kind of started it because they started celebrating before the tournament was over, right? It seemed like a lot of guys were already celebrating.
That's right. Andre's out there with the flag.
Yeah, they had the flag going. They were saying, "We're the champions. We're the champions."
They got that team title another year in a row, man.
Yeah,
You can't take it away from
Absolutely.
them. Those guys are
Dominant, yeah.
So, that's incredible for such a young team as well in the grand scheme of things. It was a lot of fun, man.
I remember
I
I did a documentary with them in 2015 Nogi Worlds. And I remember specifically talking to Andre about how young Atos is and how they're trying to pick up steam, and just a few short years later they're the dominant
top team.
Yeah, the dominant team.
It is. The injection of talent that they've had into that team has just been incredible. The amount of high class black belts that they've got now is just and a lot of those guys who were a couple of years ago were coming up through the ranks. They've all been sort of promoted and stuff, and they're going out there and they slay. It's incredible. But yeah.
How about the Grand Slam? Because I know Lucas Hulk, right? Lucas Hulk kind of won a Grand Slam this year. I think there were a couple of guys who.
So yeah, I went through the results, and technically there were 4 people who kind of did the Grand Slam this year. Just to clarify what that means, it's the Grand Slam, IBJJF Grand Slam, small g, small s, right? Not a capital, it's not a perfect out, right? But Europeans, Pans, Brazilian Nationals, and Worlds, they're considered the Grand Slam tournaments, 4 major IBJJF tournaments. If you win all 4 of those, then you're said to have done what is called the Grand Slam. Now, Cabrinha did it last year, and so did Tayani Porfirio. She actually did the double Grand Slam because she placed gold, weight and absolute in all 4 tournaments, which is just incredible. So this year, there were 4 people who kind of did the same thing. Taliesin Suarez, Little Meow, he closed out 2 of the 4 tournaments, and he won gold in another of the 2. So I mean, he got to the podium in each one, right? Into the finals, but it's not like he didn't fight for the gold medal in each one. It's not a true Grand Slam.
Excited to watch him at brown belt. Got awarded his brown belt.
Just
right
got promoted.
after.
Yeah, going to be competing soon in the first brown belt match, Boa Super 8, right? Super
8.
fight. So that'll be fun. Claudia Duval, she took gold and she fought in every final for the 4 majors. But just a small caveat that 2 of those tournaments, it was only a division of 2 people, so she only had 1 match.
I gotta say about Claudia, she's a finisher. She was down in 2 of the matches that I watched her this weekend. She was losing on points, came back and submitted both of her opponents with this weird arm lock, wrist lock, triangle thing that she does.
She's got that great omoplata set up too that she transfers to other things with. Yeah, she's awesome.
Her spider guard is no joke, man.
You train with her, right?
I used to train with Claudia when I lived in Brazil, and I can probably count the amount of times I've passed her guard in 5-6 years on one hand. Wow. For real. She's really good at giving the back and then getting out without seizing points.
There's no other big name women down there training with her.
Oh no, she just trains with dudes. But I always said that she's the second toughest person in the gym. And the toughest person in the gym, who you had the pleasure of rolling with him actually.
Yeah.
240
that gigantic man.
Yeah. 240 pounds, 4th degree black belt, and just one of the meanest fuckers you've ever seen in your life.
Guy crushed me like a can. so strong.
Yeah, but and then Lucas Hulk, he got into the finals of the open class for the Europeans and Brazilian nationals, and then the medium heavy at Pans and medium heavy final at Worlds. Interesting though that he didn't actually fight a single final because he closed out Europeans, Pans, and Worlds with teammates Keenan Cornelius and then Gustavo Braguinha. And he won by default at the Brazilian Nationals because Honorio, he was meant to fight, and he actually got sick with food poisoning and he couldn't fight. So again, Hulk fought his way through to the finals every time, can't take that away from him, but kind of got gold each time without having to fight for it. So, and then the one person who did do a true Grand Slam this year was the purple belt, Gabriele Passana, also known as Gabi Passana, from Infight, the favela in Rio de Janeiro, and she took the double Grand Slam, winning weight and absolute, purple belt, super heavyweight, and purple belt absolute at all 4 tournaments. And that's
impressive.
She's 17 years old.
Man, she wasn't really on my radar last year. I feel like I feel like she came out of nowhere. She's just so dominant.
She doesn't look like a super heavyweight.
She's not. I mean, she's probably right around the limit of super heavyweight. She's not like, let's say for example, she's not like at the 30 pounds above. Yeah. Super heavyweight is like just I don't forget what it is for women. I think it's like 160 up or something like that, right? But
she's great. She's
really 17 years old, man. She's going to be a black belt world champion when it gets to 2021, no doubt.
Elizabeth Clay got her purple belt too. I was happy
nice.
to see that.
Yeah, there's a ton of good promotions, man. Like a lot of guys who are going to be shaking things up at brown and purple and stuff.
One thing I want to say about the Worlds was that, super fights are awesome. We all love super fights, right? But there's nothing like a bracket tournament where you have these storylines. We were obviously off. We thought it was going to be Marigali.
Yeah.
Low gets hurt. Muhammad Ali has a performance of a lifetime. Marigali, would you say he underperformed? Maybe he didn't live up to expectations, right?
He certainly didn't bring home his goals.
I don't know. I mean, he looked pretty fucking good until he met Buchecha.
Right.
I think Buchecha definitely took the wind out of his sails because submitting Felipe Pena is no joke.
Yeah, he had a great absolute run for sure. But
he submitted Igor Schneider in the weight division as well. So, it's not that he looked bad.
No. I mean, definitely not. I mean, I think Muhammad Ali looked that good, right?
Marigali always has struggled with those super big, super athletic guys. Like we've seen that, right? Like last year, Joao Gabriel Rocha. This year, Honorio at Brazilian
I usually don't
Nationals.
have trouble with those big, super athletic guys.
But I mean, those are the kind of people that it's literally the only people who give Marigali trouble, right?
I really wanted to see the rest of the Low and Ali fight. If he would have his arm, because he would have been down at that point on points or advantage or whatever he came out with. But that's the thing with Ali. I think Keenan had the best kind of answer for Ali. You got to tie him up, you got to wrap him up, lock him down, and kind of shut down his explosiveness.
Absolutely.
You saw what happens when Muhammad gets space and get it was just like they stood up and they just like a tornado, and then Leandro was hurt, and it was just like what just happened?
And he dislocated his shoulder twice in that match. The first time, the medic match put it back in, and fucking hell, man, what balls that guy has, right? Because Leandro's like, okay, let's keep going,
And he did. He kept on.
And then it was just that moment when he's coming out for that sweep, and just all of a sudden the shoulder goes back into the socket again one more time. Ugh, nasty.
But how cool is Buchecha? Gifting him the absolute.
Amazing.
He could have. So what's the record, right? 10 World Championships. He could have set another one for 12.
Set himself that much further away from the pack.
But now the legend's even deeper, right? That story will live forever.
Biggest
way more than a
jiu-jitsu
title count. So,
Yeah, this is Leandro, man. To see him, what happened last year, the way he made the finals of both and got double silver last year, and to see him go out there and get his shoulder hurt, I think the entire arena was just so deflated from that. I think everybody wanted to see Leandro. Everybody loves Leandro. They wanted to see him
fight out every time.
He exhausts himself.
I noticed there was a comment on Instagram from Roberto Satoshi, who we know dislocated his shoulder in the final against Lucas Necri last year, right?
Yeah.
And Roberto actually said that the pain of the shoulder hurts, but the pain of losing in the World Championship final that way is far greater. And I was like, man, I can't even imagine what's going through Leandro's head right now. He must feel so deflated. But the consolation prize with the Buchecha moment, I think that hopefully.
And he was surprised too, right? They didn't tell him. It looked like anyway to me that they were going to give it to Buchecha, and then they secretly told the ref to raise Leandro's hand, because when they raised Leandro's hand, he was like, "What the hell?" He's like, "What? Come on!"
He didn't even want it.
Yeah,
right, initially.
But then Buchecha looked like convinced him that
I hope
you
he's not
deserve
out
it.
for too long though, because obviously twice in one match, just getting a shoulder like that is kind of slightly serious, right? So let's hope he doesn't get taken out of the game for too long.
How about Buchecha teasing, dropping his belt on the mat?
I know, right?
I told you guys. Last podcast, this might be it for him. But Bruno Maffesini, someone just asked, what do you guys think about a guy like Bruno Maffesini, 10-time BJJ World Champion?
I mean, you can only
In
think
his
one
weight
thing.
class.
Unreal.
He's perfect.
I mean, that is a record that we may never see broken.
And he had a lot of submissions too. I'm not trying to think. He had at least 3 submissions, I'm pretty sure. And he had a very impressive run out there.
It's amazing when you see him competing. It almost looks like he's flow rolling. He gives guys a little bit of room, and they overcommit. He'll sweep them over his head. I feel like he never expends that much energy because he's just that much better.
He's been focusing on MMA a lot lately. I don't even think he's in the game full time.
Yeah, gotta see him versus Mighty Mouse. Whether it's an MMA fight or if it's just a grappling match, we gotta see.
It would have to be no gi for any
Yeah.
chance.
A no gi grappling match or an MMA fight, that's cool too. But
either way. Yeah, I'm just checking now, and actually, it is correct that he submitted everybody.
He submitted everybody, yeah. Because I filmed at least 3 of his matches, and I know I got two Awesome
Bow
submissions
and
from
arrow,
him.
choke from the back,
Armbar.
arm in Ezekiel, and an armbar.
Everybody was hitting that arm in Ezekiel from the back, right?
That's
Saw a lot of
That
it.
was, yeah, everybody was getting that, yeah.
Yeah, it was, seems to be the move of the tournament, huh? And I think you mentioned it to me as well, that we didn't see that many armbars, right? Remember how we were talking
just
about...
Hudson
nasty 50-50 arm
snatch
bar.
everyone's arms.
Oh god, that guy's scary. Man,
We,
he's
we,
scary.
we dropped that little clip of Hudson training, didn't we, just before the World
Oh, yeah,
Championships?
he was armbarring everybody in that, too.
I love that way that he does that armbar with the leg in. It's like he hit it once from 50-50 and he did it again from like a leg drag, right? He set up the leg drag, he set up a leg drag with like one hand and then was pulling the arm up with the other and like did it at the same time
Yeah.
and jumped on the arm. Oh,
He was looking for it, like, way earlier, you know?
I can't.
Hanata Kanuta does that one too. That leg drag arm bar thing.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool
jokes.
how I forget what day of your vlog, but you went around, you asked everyone
Oh,
what's your
yeah.
favorite submission, and it was really interesting to hear how many people like the rear naked choke. I was like,
He didn't ask
Jason hates
everyone.
me 'cause I-
He didn't ask everyone. his roommate travel around the world together.
Chase, what's your favorite sources, Chase?
Whatever one finishes read.
So, no submissions. You know?
with those vlogs, if you guys haven't watched the vlogs, that's an awesome way to just go back and get all the information you need about the worlds in like 8 minutes long.
Yeah,
you know,
usually 10
everything.
minutes about it.
I mean, it's more about the experience there, isn't it, as well? Because, you know, to really feel what it's like in that arena, to be there at match side,
special.
a lot of people aren't going to get the chance to go and, you know, to actually feel what it's really like. They only see what's happening in front of the camera or on the mat, you know, but there's so much happening behind the camera, in the stands. I mean, for me, that's what makes it so special.
It's such a special experience, the World Championships, like you were saying, just from going, the chants, you know, and when something a big submission happens and the place goes crazy, but also just like, you know, just right there, you got Rafa Mendez, you got Andre Galvao, you got, you know, everybody there coaching their blue belts, coaching.
Everyone's fired up.
Yeah, and backstage you got Andre showing people this is what you did wrong, or this is the technique that you should have done.
Yeah, that was hilarious. We had our little workstation underneath the bleachers, and I just turned around at one point, and there's like a bunch of guys rolling around talking, no, you should have done this, should have done this. Oh, it's all good, Galvao. It's like,
Yeah.
and that we saw that all weekend.
You know what
right?
I want to mention too? Also, is that man, Dara O'Connell like broke his orbital bone, cheekbone, right before we went to Ireland, and we were like planning to go to Ireland. Right before we went to Ireland, he ended up breaking his cheekbone. And
Rolling with that head guard on.
Yeah, so we rolled
Boxing
with him
headgear,
with the headgear, and he you know was like, I'm not going to do Worlds, but just talking to Dara's a great guy to talk to because he's he loves jiu-jitsu, you know, like obviously we all do, but like speaking to Dara, he's a guy who just like you can tell deep down in his heart that he just loves jiu-jitsu so much, and going there, being at the World
There's no way he
Championships,
was gonna
he
fight,
couldn't
yeah.
stay away. He couldn't stay away, even with a broken cheekbone. He decided, screw it, all my other guys are going out there.
Claudio Calasanz,
Yeah,
whatever.
He went out there, won his first fight, and then he fought Claudio Calasanz. Had a close match there. But,
I
shout
saw him
out
on
to
Friday
Dara.
afternoon, and I was like, hey, Dara, so, you know, you gonna, and he's like, I don't know, I'm still thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's like 4 o'clock Friday afternoon. I don't know.
I'm wearing my gi right now, but I'm not sure yet. You know, so.
Yeah, man. What an amazing tournament. Just so much to dissect. I mean, I'm going to be thinking about it and going back and watching all of those matches for probably weeks to come, right? Because there's so much happened.
Well, man, I'm already excited for next year.
Yeah.
We've got so many new guys, and there's one guy who's already claiming he's going to take the super heavyweight division.
Oh shit, you're right, huh?
Gordon Ryan.
Gordon Ryan.
Oh,
Can you imagine in World Championships with the Danaher Death Squad there?
Well, we saw
Oliver Taza
and I
and
think
Ethan
was there
yeah,
as well.
both of them.
so-
Shout out to those guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brown belts.
This gently getting into the
Do you
into
think
the
John
mix.
will walk around with the gi on the whole time?
Just the top up.
Yeah.
That's the top.
Man, yeah. Crazy World Championships.
Things are going to be interesting. Yeah.
So-
Maragali versus Gordon Ryan.
What?
Book it.
Whatever it takes to make it happen, yeah. Well, next couple of weeks, not slowing down. We still got plenty of events to watch for you jiu-jitsu guys. I
I'm
mean,
excited
like,
for that Boa
Fight to
Super
Win
8.
starts up again this weekend. We have Boa Super 8 in Australia coming in a few weeks. Craig Jones will be back on that card.
Nice.
A few other big names.
yeah, that's a no-gi tournament, right?
No-gi tournament.
Craig Jones, Mike Perez get to run it back.
Whoa.
To his side, too.
Whoa.
They had that
You're going to be watching out for the wrist locks now.
That's right.
Right. And then
That was a good
Kazai
one.
3 will be coming up in August. That'll be a lot of fun as
Of course,
well.
Masters Worlds is around the corner, so all you
Not
masters
slowing
out
down.
there.
Yeah,
Doesn't
Definitely
slow
going to- there is some gi, but it's definitely going into no-gi season now, right? It's like traditionally straight after World Championships, it switches gears, and we'll have like say, Boa Super 8, Kazai 3, September, October is always no-gi pans, and then no-gi worlds at the end of the year. So,
Hey,
should be fun, huh?
ADCC trial starts again in the
That's
fall.
true.
Oh, let's not forget about that
So,
too. Yeah.
true.
Awesome.
All coming back.
Get your Noki ready.
All right, guys. Well, I think that's probably a perfect time to say goodbye. And anything else?
That's it, man.
That's it.
Let's cut it.